Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Here.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Goss.
Here.
Mayor Lavella.
Here. Any additions or subtractions to the meeting April 23rd, regular meeting of April 23rd? Hearing none, those minutes will be approved. Public hearing on 4/23 of 18. Any additions or subtractions to that public meeting? Hearing none, those will be approved. Okay, we have some guests tonight. Ladies, do you need to address the council? No?
We're with Lucky Lady Video Gaming.
Oh, you're here for you're here for number 19?
Right.
Okay. Sir? Yes?
I have a proposal tonight, Mayor, I'd like to make.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Anyone here from the media that I haven't already given a proposal to? Okay, very good. I think I should give this to Gail. All right. Okay, well, it looks like we have had a 3-week recess since the April 23rd, which was the last time I was here and made the proposal on regional economic development. I would like to ask the council members if anyone has thought about this and made any movement towards it. I know, Angelo, you asked me how soon did we want to do this, and I said, well, immediately. But of course, I think it's a good idea to start thinking now, because I think that will aid us in the future with our children and generations to come. Friday, there was a group of young students out there at the square learning about the history of Marion by a teacher. I don't know who it was, but I thought it was an excellent exercise, and that shows to me that there is an opportunity for families to evolve in Marion with the leadership and communication and building a strong family structure. So, is there any input or comment on April 23rd's proposal?
Well, you do know that there is organizations such as the Greater Egypt Development Agency,
And Mantricon.
Redco,
Mantricon.
John A. Logan holds a small business incubator every year. So there's already things out there. As of Friday, that was a local historian, John Musgrave. He does that once a year to the 4th grade class at Washington. And he brings them and shows them the history of downtown Marion. He's been doing that for years, but in regards to your question, there are things in place that's happening in Southern Illinois that to do such things as this. Another one is SIMPO, Southern Illinois Metropolitan Planning Organization. Thank you, Glenn, that plans roads and projects. Actually, there are projects that are already planned 4 years in advance, and monies are made available for such projects already. So there are things being done, and I mean, I sure hope you're not thinking that we're sitting up here on our hinds ends not doing nothing, because we are a part of something that is trying to bring development in, not only into the city but also Southern Illinois as you most recently know, that we have the Gander Mountain building going to be reoccupied by Camping World, Gander Mountain, and Overton's. So that's 3 businesses coming back into one building. Black Diamond has expanded into the recreational vehicle avenue. So we have some things happening. We're going to tonight, as I think the second agenda item, as part of this grant that we've applied for with the Greater Egypt Delta Authority, we're going to sign a resolution tonight and for a $500,000 grant to go for a road project on Halfway Road. That project is $3.3 million that the city is obligating itself to. But that $3.3 million is going to generate 50 jobs at Pepsi. We're also working on an extension to the Chris Container TIF district for 12 years through our state legislation that's going to expand that facility out there and create jobs. As of right now, from what I understand, the plugs that they make the plastic bottle, there's only 2 vendors in the world that do that. And they have to buy from them. So they're wanting to get in that, but there's things going on. It may not be to your knowledge, but there are organizations, there are things going on. Which one, SIU, Gail?
Small Business Development Center?
Yes, I mean, so there's a lot of things out there. Did you like to add something too?
Well, as the council knows, but the general public doesn't normally know, we work with developers every day. I had 2 meetings today with people who are looking at bringing in businesses. They're looking for ground. We have 5 new businesses that have made obligations or plans on being in Marion in the next year. Most of economic development is confidential anymore because businesses, there aren't a lot of industries that are looking for relocation.
Yeah, and not only is confidentiality, but it's also competition.
Yes, and we compete normally with 5 other states.
Yeah.
And so economic development is something that happens all the time. Our growth, and if you ask, like our TIF consultants, we are the most active growing city in the state of Illinois. So they they said we were growing faster than Bloomington. So we are very happy with our progress. We want more, of course.
Right.
That's our goal from the council.
Yes.
There's only one city that does more in sales revenue, and that's Belleville. So, what did we do last year in total sales, Steve? Wasn't it like $774 million? Something like that.
Like that, yeah.
You think about that. That's staggering.
Yes, it is.
Guess what we don't have?
I appreciate what you're saying. I
Guess
really
what we don't have?
You bet.
Yeah, we don't have them all.
Hey, I believe it. Let me just say this. My
That's a joke.
concern.
5 minutes.
There's Joe.
Can I have a 2-minute extension?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if we had them all, what we'd be doing? Yeah, $1 billion.
Yes, exactly.
So, but anyway, we appreciate your thought and input, and if you do have some ideas, we're open to them. Like Gail said, it's a everyday deal here.
Right.
Talking to somebody,
The
but
thing-
we can't,
Yeah.
always let that out.
Well, I agree, and my goal is creating living wage jobs for the families in Southern Illinois.
Yep.
I really think that's top dog.
Yep.
That's
And
a common goal.
Making that happen is,
Well, I use the term sustainable to families,
right.
but it's
Manufacturing, whatever.
it's tough selling.
Well,
I appreciate that though.
you bet. The other thing is quickly the Family Day. You can take a moment, read it. It talks about the mayor's role here. It talks about kids getting a bike. That's a big deal for kids. It also talks about communication in the community. with regard to the local population once a month.
No, and I'm not
That kind of-
trying to cut you off or anything, but our fire and police departments work with the Salvation Army and every year to provide bikes to children.
That's good.
So we're, you know.
Okay, well, we're on the same page.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sir, did you have something in the blue shirt? Yes. Okay, Ron?
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Robert Butler and Mayor Anthony Ranella and the various city commissioners who have allowed me to serve more than 13 years as a board member and as a board chairman. I'm proud of the many accomplishments the board was able to see through to completion during this period. Many of these accomplishments were a reaction to problems and issues. I would like to see the center treated as any other department of the city. By this I mean a budget that allows the center the necessary capital dollars that would improve the center much as the way it does the civic center, the library, pavilion, those entities. The center is approximately 31 years old, and I have been involved more than half of that time. I was intimately involved approximately 13 years. I had talked to Mayor Butler and to Mayor Ranella about leaving the board as Mayor Butler retired. Those conversations were held during January 2018. I also discussed the idea with several board members and the executive director. If I have any regrets, that would be that I was not allowed to leave on my own as other board members before me were allowed to do. I know this was a political decision, but it still could have been handled in a way which I would not feel that I was being pushed out. Quite a few people were informed before I was notified. That notification only occurred after I came to City Hall for a meeting. It leaves me feeling that I was not performing in an acceptable manner. I never had any feedback that that was the case. I feel that this has basically stained my service. When I first joined the board, programming was cut $30,000. More cuts were made in the following years, but not to that degree. We were able to gain back some dollars in some areas. We have never been able to gain very many dollars back for programming. I and the other board members and the staff did our very best under difficult situations. I still hold the center very dear to me and wish the center nothing but success in the future. Lisa Wilson will do an excellent job for the center. I wish her nothing but the best. I would like to leave you with 3 ways you can help the center. Support the center with the necessary budget amounts and donations. Volunteer when you can. If you can't volunteer, at least come back. Let them see you. Pray for the center and the children. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. Please consider this notice my resignation from the Boynton Street Community Center Board of Directors. Again, thank you for allowing me to serve. God bless you all.
Well, I guess I need to address those comments. Mr. Ferguson did have a conversation with me about resigning from the board, and in that I took it that he was ready to move on. So I took it upon myself to look for a replacement, and it unfortunately didn't make it to the agenda tonight. And but he mentioned the name Lisa Wilson. Lisa is a resident of Marion. Was born and raised and grew up in the Boynton Street community, and is a success from the Boynton Street. I mean, last fall we had the 30-year reunion, and Lisa, and we had several people get up there that were success stories. Lisa is one of those, and I think that she will bring the energy that is needed and on that board, and has some great ideas for the direction of that board, and just not the board, but the community in itself. Tomorrow night we're going to have a meeting at Jones Park. Everybody needs to attend if they can, and about some issues in that area, because we want that to be a safe haven for our kids. But Lisa, if you'd like to come up and address the council, I can't appoint you today, and I know this council is going to embrace that appointment. But and one other thing I want to say, I did not force Mr. Ferguson out. I merely replaced him as chairman. He chose to leave the board on his own, and that bothers me. And it wasn't a political action. It was, upon his mentioning of resigning from the board as Mayor Butler left, I took upon myself to find the best replacement for him, and I have found that in Lisa Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I am excited to step up. I've been a board member now for, this is going into my second year, and when they decided to choose me as the chair, I humbly accepted. I am a member of the community. My family grew up within the community. I see the things that where we started at and where we've come. And as Ron stated, we do need the city support to continue to build up our community center for our youth. We're getting ready for our summer kickoff program, summer food program, June 9th. So I would welcome you all to come between 1 and 3. And if you want to come a little bit early to volunteer, we'll accept that as well. So I'm very thankful. Again, we work to build volunteerism, fundraising, and our community support. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for your commitment and trust in me to be able to lead the board. And please pray for me as I take on this new venture for myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to address the board? Nobody? All right, let's get going here. Treasurer, council approval of bank bids to purchase 30 laptop computers and accessories for police vehicles.
Yes. Yeah, we requested bids from the local banks. The bids for a 3-year fixed non-collateral loan. And these are the 3 bids that you should have a copy of the 3 bids. And the lowest bid was Ventura Bank at 3.08. They had a loan fee of $350 compared to First Southern's 100 at 3.40%. But if you factor in the interest rate plus the fee, Ventura, we will pay $131.60 less over the 3-year period than with First Southern. And I don't know if we have any loans with Ventura. They've been trying for, they've been faithful about submitting each time, but they've just never had the lowest bid, and this time they do. So I recommend that we go with Ventura Bank.
Now, as far as, did we have like 30 other laptops? I mean, how long did they last?
You'd have to talk to Terrence about that.
We still have them, but we had to upgrade because the last time we went through this process 4 years ago, we had them financed, but we have to send them all back because of a loophole in the finance world. That's why Steve is taking care of all the finance department now. So those laptops that our officer currently has now, we're sending them all back. We just received 8 today, and so they're great new laptops coming.
Okay, so we don't get any like trade-in money or anything like that?
Actually, the finance company wants us to pay them to keep what we already paid for. So now,
Yeah, it was
Parents, we've
decided,
had it for about 5 years, haven't we?
yes, sir.
How long do we expect these to last?
well,
The new
that's,
ones,
Yeah.
they're telling us between 5 to 8. And they're coming from Panasonic, the Panasonic, 54s, the new line model and all that. And I believe we're paying a couple $100 less for a brand new upgraded model than what we paid for originally with these models.
That's what I was gonna ask you, what are some of the new capabilities of the new computers?
The new computers is that, it's the solid state hard drive, so there's no moving parts, so more durable. It's a little lightweight. It has a backlit keyboard, so when our officers are in the field at night, the keys and everything lights up for them so they can see it. The memory, the speed, the 4G capability, they can switch to 5 when we get ready. It's
But other
it's-
than that, nothing, huh?
it's a $2,500 laptop that we got for about $1,300 or $1,600, somewhere in that ballpark. A laptop.
That's because the way you negotiated with them, take a little credit.
We are all a team.
yeah. But this was something that the council's already previously approved, was a buy-in, and this is just to be able to finance the approval, so we're not having to lay out cash for that amount.
Help me if I'm wrong, but didn't they also throw some hardware in?
They did. They
Yes.
gave us some have stand, so the officers, right now they're pole mounted. So their passenger side, it takes up a lot of space in their passenger side. These will come off the side mount, so they have more room on the passenger side as well. With a brand new docking station, all that. So lightweight, helps them out.
And those were $200 a piece or something like that?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
and that's Havas. Yeah, it was a good deal.
Yeah,
We
it's,
got the whole total package for less than 75,000.
Just a hair, yeah, it was right at 75.
Which we
yeah.
budgeted for.
Mhm.
Well, I
Yep.
make a motion to approve the, World Bank bid from Mantero.
I'll second.
Okay. Got a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
And Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Okay, item 2, as we talked prior, this is a resolution that we need for our grant approval. It's just part of the process. Some of the duties as mayor is that, that he signs all legal contracts and deeds on behalf of the city. So, this is just one of the duties of the mayor. So, but we need the resolution.
Right, and this is just for specific projects, too, not just in general, just.
No, I mean, if you look at the ordinance that describes the Department of Public Affairs, it outlines the duties of the mayors and.
No, I mean, with respect to this resolution, and for this particular grant, is that the halfway road one, is that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, it's the halfway road grant, yes, I'm sorry. So anyway, this is part of the process. Hopefully at some point in time, we are a finalist for this grant, and Glenn, is there ever an end to the paperwork? I just signed 4 more documents today, so,
End of this week, we should be getting near the finish line,
okay. Yeah,
hopefully, or no later than the first part of next week.
okay.
Remind me again, DRA stands for what?
Delta Regional Authority.
Yeah. Kerry Min, Assistant Director.
We need a motion,
Yes, we need a motion.
approve resolution 2018-14.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and second, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay.
Okay, and number 3, I spoke to Brent. Apparently, we need to replace our vertical turbine pump, and what that does is supplies water to the filter press in our sludge processing operation. We received 2 bids. he went with a slightly higher bid, just because he's familiar with this company. He's happy with the work that his particular equipment does, and it does all the things that were outlined in the specs and then some. So he went with MEC, or flow serve pump, at a cost of $13,784.25. The other one was from Stratford Pump, and it was $12,975. So it's about $800 less. But again, he was more familiar with the other one. It lasted 14 years, and we come to the end of its useful life, the current one. So that'd be my motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Hey,
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes.
Okay, now, the pump there probably.
can you get up in front
Could
of
you,
us?
sir, could you go to the mic and tell us who you are and
I'm Art Fraley. That pump there probably did render better service, maybe good service it says, for 14 years there or so. But you know, I look at things like this, like buying a Ford or a Chevy, you know. That Ford may give you good service for a long time. That Chevy may have done the same thing if it had been in service too. So I'm suggesting here, you know, take the lesser one there, even though that flow serve, you know, may be a good pump. But you know, it may not be any better, and we may be, you know, that staffer may serve just as well. And,
Are you which? I didn't catch where you were from. Are
Huh?
you with Stratford? Is that who you represent? Stratford.
well, what I'm saying is, just because something may cost a little more, don't mean that it is better.
Oh, I got it. So you just up here as a matter of principle. You don't represent the company, the
Yeah.
other bid. Okay.
You know, that's why I made the indication there, you know, that one vehicle may not be better than another as far as service goes. You may get real good service out of a Chevy for a while, you know, and the next time you get one, it blows up on you, you know. So you can't tell on that as far as that goes. So the staffer may be just as good a pump. And I don't know nothing about those pumps, so I'm just suggesting, you know, that we go with the cheaper one
Well,
myself.
I understand. Point taken. This guy, Brent Kane, he's the superintendent. He has about 20 years of experience. A lot of this stuff is, like you said, is esoteric to me. I have no clue what some of that is, but I just have to trust his judgment and expertise, and that's what I'm going by.
I understand what you're saying, Angelo, but you know, what I'm saying is this. In other words, we buy, sometimes some of these, they buy a fleet of vehicles, you know, and they get all of one kind. And because they held up good, you know, the next time they go buy a bunch more. And it's not always the cheaper ones that they get, you know, that, in other words, the cheaper ones can be just as good as the other one is. They're both probably good pumps.
Totally understand. Trust, we had a pretty conversation about that because I had concerns about that. So it took some convincing, but I mean, in the end, I just went with his expertise and judgment based on his 20 years of experience. So,
I just wanted to make that point. That's about a
I understand.
6 or 8% difference there in the price of them.
And he's usually pretty judicious in his spending too. That's another
Excellent.
factor.
Yes, he is very.
Yeah. He's pretty judicious in his spending too. So he's.
Okay.
if,
It's my opinion.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, and it's noted.
yeah, we,
I understand.
Mr. Fraley, we appreciate that, your comments and your concerns, but like Commissioner Hightower said, trust me, if this individual who is our superintendent of that sewer plant, I'm telling you, he's did his due diligence. And if he tells us that I know it's higher, let's spend $800 more, and this is why we should, then we trust him. He runs that plant is better than it's ever been operated. It's not an easy situation. That plant wins awards annually for the amount of purity that they put into the water going, the overflow going back out, and it's usually 96 to 98% pure. So you can't go to a lake around here and find that. So yes, it is higher, but if we believe that it's that $800 is better spent on this pump, then we trust him, and that's why Commissioner Hightower went with his opinion and the higher bid.
And he knows how fiscally conservative I am, so
Yeah.
he knows he has to convince me of,
But there's
that's the right way to go.
two things to consider on that too. First cost, and then there's service from the company who sells it to you.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the point, that's the point I wanted to bring up too. There's a good mix of information that we have to get to consider all bids. And I know that Brent has worked with FlowServe before. Their reputation as far as service, how quick they can get here, how quick they can get a replacement part or pump, depending on the case. All of that plays into it. And I think for the $800 difference, Brent felt most comfortable with going with the horse we rode on, to be honest. Does it make good sense? Yeah, I'd love to take the lower bid, but you're kind of rolling the dice when you do that because it's an unproven vendor, if you will. They're, if I'm not mistaken, probably further away than
Evansville, Indiana.
Evansville or St. Louis. We have built a reputation, and they have with us, the company, the FlowServe, and for the price difference, I think it's based on Brent's recommendation, I think it's a good idea. But certainly understand and respect your opinion, for sure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. With no further discussion, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Okay, Water Department, number 4.
Unfortunately, we have a retiring Tim Hastings, who is the permanent lead man for the water department, and as I don't remember the date.
Friday,
Friday.
18th.
This Friday. And we are merely replacing our lead man. My recommendation would to replace, upon the retirement or pending the retirement of Tim Hastings, Mr. Cliff Hogue is our new lead man.
I'll second
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
that. Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay.
Again, that as Cliff Hogue moves up to the lead man, that leaves a vacant spot in the assistant lead man. My recommendation for his replacement would be Scott Clarida as the assistant lead man, pending the retirement of Tim Hastings and our just completed appointment of Cliff Hogue as the lead man.
I'll second that too.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay.
Last item for the water department is we took bids for truck purchase. Those bids were included in your packet. Watermark Ford submitted their price for $28,285.94. Absher Arnold submitted their price for $24,411. Obviously, one's a Ford, one's a Dodge. Be my recommendation to accept the low bid from Absher Arnold for a Dodge truck, $24,411.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion, call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay.
Hope that Dodge does us good.
Okay, Commissioner Webb, Police Department.
Yeah, we're seeking, Police Department seeking council approval for the annual software renewal from ID Networks Identification Technologies for this year, 2018, at a cost of $30,000. And this software is what we do our reporting with, and it's the CAD part of our the dispatch as well, so it's something important. And half the cost is maintenance fee, and the other half approximately is the payment on that software. So with that, Terrence, do you have any more knowledge on it?
No, you did it right.
I mean, he's still pretty happy with
Yeah, and we gotta have it. We have a payment plan that we've been paying for some years, and I think it'll end in 2021.
Yeah. And it is budget item, and that would be my motion.
Yeah, it's a budgeted item.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Mr. Webb?
Yay.
Mr. Goss?
Yay.
And Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Number 8, council approval to install 2 speed bumps on North Otis and Ray Fossey Park.
Yeah, that's per request of the Marion Park District, Jack Reed. He thinks for safety reasons, we need to slow the traffic down during the season. And I agree with him because there's a lot of pedestrians go across that area. Be my motion to.
There are already bumps in that.
There have been in the past, I don't know.
But we're gonna put in some that he wants additional funds.
Where are they located at, John?
On Otis Street, north of Ray Foster Park.
But
Yeah,
location on
There's a lot
Otis.
of them go across there every night.
It'd be between Thompson
Yeah.
and where the concession stand is
Yeah.
there, somewhere in between there.
Yeah. So I'd ask council approval, allow us to install the speed bumps.
Will those be removed after the ball season, or will they be permanent?
I guess we'll probably defer to Jack Reed if he wants to leave them in.
It's fair.
Group of people up there, you know that.
Yeah. That's fair enough. So we have a motion.
I'll second.
We had a second by Commissioner Hightower. With no discussion being heard, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
And Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Chief, it's your turn.
This is actually funds coming out of the safety department through Brian's safety grant. We've been looking at gear dryers, and that was part of the grant that he wrote for to dry our bunker gear. We actually just came back from Indianapolis at a trade show over there and looked at several different brands. Got 2 bids. One from Air One Equipment was for $8,095, and then one from KJ Cools was $89.59.
Same piece of equipment though, right?
Piece of equipment, they're identical, one's blue, one's red. And after talking with both companies, we are asking council approval to approve the one from Air One Equipment for $8,095, and these funds will come out of Brian's safety grant.
It is 100% funds, so yes, I'd make that my motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
It's not coming out of general fund. This is an easy one,
It
yeah.
doesn't come out of gas tax either.
Yeah. Oh, golly. Yeah, all right, got a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion. Clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Gail?
Yes, the library director, David Patton, has submitted the resignation of Mia Waters. And they are, at the next meeting, we will have a replacement. They're interviewing currently. She was a shelter in the library.
Okay. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
So moved.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? Clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Okay.
Okay, item number 11, in your packet you will have a proposal from Boyd Engineering. In discussion, when we did budget discussions, Director David Patton had commented about his concern, and we were discussing projects for the capital fund. The library has a reserve capital fund. One of their concerns is they have 14 HVAC units in the library. All were purchased at the same year. All are under contract. And Steve Hale and I were discussing if there's any way to kind of merge some of those together for energy savings, and also for looking at the future when the energy contract, not energy contract, but as far as the maintenance agreements and things, we've been replacing several parts on 2 units. So, we requested Ben Boyd to submit a proposal which would be paid out of the capital fund. We did actually budget the item, but it would be not to exceed $5,000. He would investigate each of the HVAC units, do readings and also delivery, like are they still utilized to the maximum, and look at some of the potential of savings for the future. Then he will put a report together to come to the council. We were looking at this as part of our longer range planning for the next 3 to 5 years, trying to decide what to do with those HVAC units.
Okay,
So that would just need an approval, and it's not from general fund, it's from the library reserve capital fund.
Okay, so we're not talking about anything negligent here, are we? We're just
No.
talking about.
No, we're talking about just wear and tear on units, and I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago we discovered there were 14 units in the library. The library's not that big when you think of, if we looked at the hub, they have, major units, but the library has 14 in different places. You have to go find them first. But we have a service contract on all of them. And so part of that was looking at how we can best manage those units. And part is, no one really knows. No one has been there since they were.
We're potentially looking at having less units.
Mm-hmm. If that's an option for the future. Right now it's exploratory. If we don't explore it, we'll end up with a unit broken, and then we're going to really have to explore. So this would be part of the plan for future.
Well, when you see the word investigation there, you always got to think bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is a good investigation. This is just planning.
Okay, good. All right.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Renella?
Yay. Well, Chris, I don't think we need to take a break before you get started this time.
Yeah, you might on this one. Okay. All right. We've got only one new employee recommendation this evening. That's for part-time employee Haley Haysicker as a lifeguard at $9.50 an hour and swim instructor at $20 an hour.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Good motion.
I'll second.
Second. Hearing no discussion, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Renella?
Yay.
Okay, additional on item number 13, additional job classifications. Peyton Fossey for Child Watch at $9 an hour, current employee and cafe membership. Second one, Brooklyn Hunsaker as a swim instructor at $20 an hour. She's a current lifeguard. Casey Van Dyke, swim instructor at $20 an hour, current lifeguard. And Callie Vaughn, swim instructor at $20 an hour.
I'll make a motion to approve the aforementioned personnel at the listed job classification and salaries.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Renella?
Yay.
Okay, and the next item is a energy proposal for cost reduction at the hub. And it has 3 portions, and I'm prepared with solid information this evening on the first two, and that includes a lighting proposal for LED relamping and fixtures in the facility. And then the second item is hand dryers to reduce the cost of towels, paper towels in 12 of the locations, 12 of the locker rooms and bathrooms. If I may, if I can hand out some packets with updated information. It was updated actually today as well. This proposal is a cost savings proposal in addition to needs to address certain lighting challenges that we have throughout the facility. And those challenges are related to actually bringing the lights down, whether it's a power outage or a test of the lighting. We have battery backups which are causing failures within the lighting components. So this proposal actually is cost savings minimally at $2,800, over $2,800 per month that you'll see. I'll walk you through that. In addition to the relamping, which is going to allow us to not incur increased costs relative to bulb changes when we have a power outage or when we have to do a fire department inspection relative to the backup lighting. We have adequate backup lighting that we have put in the exit signs, and then one type of light in the gymnasium, the backup lights perform very well. Throughout many other areas of the facility, throughout the entire facility, that backup lighting, this proposal would entail removal of the backup lamps in those areas, leaving adequate backup lamperage throughout the entire facility. And that would allow us those lights to perform better. The lighting cost that you see there for the entire cost of the conversion project, on the first item, if you'll go past the first page, you'll see Brown Electric proposal. And let me say too, we've spent the last 2 months working with Brown Electric, working with Springfield Electric on Ameren incentives, which I'll describe in here in a few moments. In addition, Brown Electric in the past week and a half has put in one lamp within aquatics so we can see how it would perform. We found that the lumens, the foot candles, in that particular southeast portion of the aquatic center is showing as described within the lighting diagram, that folded lighting diagram that you see there. It brought it from about 12 to 18 foot candles in that one area to 26 to 29 foot candles based on how we had that light actually turned. We investigated, we examined this before the light came up. So it was early morning. We were able to shut off 2 areas of lights, which included probably about 16 lights, and we replaced it with that one. Once we plugged that in, it actually produced more light than all of those. So the proposal in aquatics, well, let me look at the first one. So that's a little background on aquatics. On the main portion of the building, you'll see the first proposal there at $27,197 after immediate incentives. $5,520. That final covers the entire building excluding aquatics. So that's the first proposal. The second one is the aquatics proposal that I described, and that shows a total of $38,144, but the incentives that would come approximately 3 weeks after installation would be $8,802. So that was confirmed today, an $8,802 incentive return within 3 weeks of completion of that particular job. What this does effectively in aquatics is it replaces 72 lights with 28 lights. And that is over 480 bulbs with 28 lamps. There are 28 LED lights. They would actually increase the lighting. We'd have control of the lighting in terms of how it was installed, and it would increase the lighting around the rotunda where the water slide is that has some dark areas. We are losing lighting in there again if we have power outage, in addition to some of the corrosion. These LED lamps are sealed. You can spray them down with water, which we wouldn't do, but they're sealed. They're humidity, environmentally sealed. They've been used in other aquatic centers. Over the weekend, on Friday, we visited. Terrence and I actually walked in. We did a trip and we walked into the Egan Center in Florissant, and we took some pictures there. We looked at the lighting. They had 20 lights in their small aquatic center, and I'm going to send some pictures around. They're a low profile, partially recessed into the ceiling, and I'll hand those out. So if you'll take a look at those, those are some pretty good shots of that particular center. Their performance after over 2 years has been good, and it provides the light that they need. And those lights are, again, sealed and designed for that environment.
What was the reduction in the lights from, did you say 72 to 48?
72 actual light setups that are six bulbs each.
Right.
So there's
currently there.
Yeah, currently like 430 bulbs in that, in the entire aquatic center, not including the rotunda. So over 500 bulbs changed out with 28 throughout the entire facility. If you look on that folded diagram, you'll see the yellow, the red dots. In between all of those red dots, what is depicted very lightly, you may be able to see through it, and you know from looking in the aquatic center, is continuous lighting, track lighting, and each one of those light fixtures has 12 bulbs. It basically would be more than enough lighting for that 28.
Is this a new bulb they've come out with, or has it been on the market a while?
It's a new fixture and bulb that I can't tell you how this particular fixture, how long it's been out, but it's been out for a while.
5 years, 6 years?
I believe so.
3 years.
So is it fixtures as well as bulbs?
Fixtures, the bulbs in everything but aquatics would be just the bulbs, with the Brown Electric relamping, taking the ballasts out and changing the fixtures to accept the LED bulbs. So the entire building, the bulbs, would be changed out to T5 bulbs to an LED bulb, pulling out the battery backups, which have been causing the problem. All the fixtures in aquatics, but the bulbs in the remainder of the facility.
Chris, you mentioned a $802 rebate or refund. Is that from Ameren?
That's from Ameren. That's
Correct.
provided to, it would come back from Springfield Electric, so they would handle that completely. The initial one that you see on the first proposal is a $5,500 immediate incentive, and that is what Brown Electric would provide. The $8,800 incentive on that aquatics area would be from Springfield Electric via, it would be Ameren grant via Springfield Electric.
They take care of doing the grant.
Yes, they would process all of the paperwork of the grant, so we wouldn't have to handle any of that.
And you're saving $2,800 a month?
Yeah, that's conservative.
I know you'll get $34,000 back
In the first year. In the first year.
The total outlay is what?
The total outlay is $65,341.
So a couple of years or less you get it back.
Couple of years, but I've got actually 19 months in there because we expect we're going to have additional savings. I've got that itemized there.
I see that.
And but the 2861 is very conservative. Springfield Electric had us at $5,700 savings, but that was based on 10 kilowatt hours,
Yeah,
10 cents per kilowatt hour.
We've had the same program in the street department. We've changed out all our street lights. The savings makes it worthwhile. I think it has to be done.
It will allow us to
It should be done.
to have a lighting. We have our lighting system has a timing panel.
Yeah.
It will allow us to turn off probably 109 days per year, turn off the lights based on our lighting schedule through the night, and that would include the majority of the building, maintaining safety lighting throughout the building.
You won't change those bulbs, what, every 10 years?
It's a 5-year warranty bulb.
Don't they expect longer?
We would hope to get more out of it than 5.
So right now, we're running lighting in this facility 24 hours a day, 365
We are.
days a year.
We are, which is significant in the gymnasium and especially the aquatic center. The reason we can't use the timing system is every time we actually use that and shut the lights down, we lose probably 20 bulbs on the track. We lose about 50 in the aquatic center. And it's a cost of anywhere from $750 to $1,000 for bulb replacement.
Is that a malfunction of the system, or was it designed to do that when you shut it down?
It's a problem with the actual light fixtures. So the timing system, the timing panel is just fine. It operates the way it should. It is the actual fixtures relative to the battery backups and the type of light that they are. Fortunately, the gymnasium that is 35 fixtures on the highest point of the gymnasium at 6 bulbs per fixture is they're performing well. It's a different type of fixture. But everywhere else in the facility, if it's got a battery backup, that's where you're going to see the failure. You've got that in every area of the facility.
So Brown Electric's going to do this work?
Mm-hmm.
And weren't they the general contractor for the hub to begin with?
They were, yeah. They have, so they are, intimately familiar with the electrical system throughout the entire building. They've looked at this fixture. They've looked at the lamps. They've looked at what Springfield Electric has provided, the information.
Well, I guess my question is, were they intimate in knowing that the fixtures they put up would work to the capacity that they have it? They put up, yes.
They followed the specifications designed by the architect of that project.
Yes.
And Brown Electric would tell you the same.
Aren't they also obligated to have some expertise in that area?
They had to follow the specifications of the project.
I mean, for example, those big fans in the pool, if someone were to design those being 4 feet above the pool, they would know that that's not, a sound practice. So it seems like you have to have some kind of expertise in the first place. It just seems
installation of what was specified was done according to what they needed to do throughout the entire building. There was a recommendation on their part for LED lighting.
But the architect.
Thank you. Right.
LED lighting's been used for 10 years in terms of new facilities. So it's and we're 4 years old. So
Would you explain?
We are.
Would you explain if you threw that the generator transfer switch? What is that?
More information is needed on that. We're certain of the lighting proposal and the hair dryers and the hand dryers is the next. What we're needing to do is get.
Pursuing on that.
Right now, we have to come back to council with additional information on the generator transfer switch.
What is your intended plan on the generator?
Our intended plan is to have 2 proposals to council. One would be full facility operation with the transfer switch installation at the hub, without actually getting a generator at this time.
Okay, you're not buying a generator.
No, there's no generator proposal at this time.
We built the hub without a backup generator.
That's correct.
And you're still not planning to putting one in.
Starting with the transfer switch. My proposal would be.
Starting to start. I understand what you're saying, but you don't have a firm plan to put in a generator yet.
That would be my recommendation, because the building can act as not only for its own function, but as a center, as a disaster center for the city. It's with the generator. It's
and bathroom facilities for our people. Here's what we got to do here at this place. At some point in time, we got to stop the bleeding. And I don't know where the tourniquet is, and I'm not blaming you, Chris, but there's got to be a ton of frustration.
Yeah, there is, but it's a beautiful building, and we're doing great things. But the thing is, we're very systematically finding ways for these cost savings within the first, short 4 years of our operation. We're finding how to remedy these things.
What we're talking about here is not cost saving; it's taking care of things that were not done right to start with.
It's both.
I can't believe we didn't put a generator in the building.
Yeah.
We've operated 4 years without a backup generator, and today we're not planning on putting one in yet. We're just going to put a switch in.
Yeah.
Why don't we work on a generator?
We gotta put the transfer switch in it.
And the idea is you can either put a transfer switch in that operates critical portions of the building or full building, and those are the two options, two proposals I want to bring to you. Ideally, it would be an automatic transfer, but there are options for partial or a manual transfer switch as needed. But my recommendation would be the full transfer switch with a future generator when able.
Yeah. So you're suggesting a transfer switch without a generator still, basically.
Initially, and I don't know the cost on that yet.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I can help you. It'd be in excess of $25,000.
Yeah.
That's just for the switch.
Yeah. But I want a more precise number relative to what has to be.
We had a proposal.
There has to be an inverter that's out back that has to be moved. There has to be a small concrete pad poured. So there's additional costs beyond probably 25.
Well, at one time, I thought Brown Electric suggested it might be $150,000 to put in the generator and wiring.
The generator itself and wiring?
And the wiring.
Probably.
At $150,000.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of generator you're talking about, though.
I understand that.
Depends on what we want to do with it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chris.
But this lighting proposal will save us money in a short amount of time.
Oh, no question. I have to do it.
The third proposal there, and the incentives are significant. They're more than what a couple of months ago we thought they'd be, about 11,000, and it's closer to 14,000 incentives. The third proposal there is also cost savings. We've got bathroom facilities and locker room facilities that have paper towels, and they're great. Paper towels are terrific, but our proposal, as we're doing this lighting in the same proposal for cost savings, is to replace 12 of those hand towel locations, those dispensers, with hand dryers, and have that installation done. We would purchase the hand dryers. We'll save in paper towel usage alone $7,800 a year. So it'll pay for it within the first year. Our initial proposal is to get a moderate level hand dryer, not the highest end, but to make the conversion, make the transfer with a reasonable, tried and true hand dryer, and we've got several to choose from in that process between $1,500 and $2,500. But that proposal, the installation itself is $5,211.
And they're not the rapid airflow?
They're rapid airflow. They perform, they're not the accelerators. They're either an American Standard or there's a couple other brands, but they are rapid flow, and they're with sensors. They're automatic and with sensors.
A lot of information here, gentlemen. I think he's did a great job of putting this together, and obviously you can see the savings that we'll have towards that facility, and he's doing his part to make things happen.
Yeah, Chris does a good job.
Yeah, I
I was going to ask how we can pay for it.
Yes, it would be paid with TIF funds. We don't have this in our budget.
Right.
So now, fortunately, our utility costs, it's gonna show up as a payoff. Fortunately, we came out with at the end of the fiscal year lower than what we expect. Well, right on budget actually, about 220. But as far as our utility costs, we're gonna save though. We're gonna save on that, and we'll see that in the first few months.
Chris, the hand dryer installation, that includes the 2 upstairs bathrooms in the weight room and the 2 downstairs bathrooms?
That's correct. Plus 3 in each, the men's locker room, women's,
3 in each men's and women's locker room.
Yeah, that's right, and two in the family locker room, in the bathrooms of the family. And that's the 12.
My suggestion, and this is something you might want to talk to some of your suppliers on, hand dryers in those small bathrooms, to me, might be a little bit of a problem as far as heat buildup, and noise levels, but you know, you can kind of investigate that too. I could see where they would definitely work in the shower rooms.
Yeah.
Might question those, because those bathrooms are kind of small. Might want to look into that as well.
Yep, we'll do that. We maintain, there's 4 other dispensers, towel dispensers in the building, so we're going to maintain those. There's a couple on the fitness floor, and then there's one in 2 staff areas. So there's 4 dispensers that would be maintained, but I'll look into that for the 4 others.
Just as a suggestion.
All right, guys, what's our?
And this does come from TIF money, correct?
Yes, it does. It would.
So what are you asking for? A proposal of a certain dollar amount here?
Yes. The first, you'll see on your first page there, for the lighting conversion, the dollar amount is $65,300. I'm sorry. Yes, it would initially be $65,341. We would get from Springfield Electric. We would get $8,802 back within three weeks. Brown Electric, Brown has indicated he would delay invoicing till we got that incentive back. So if we needed to do that, we can do that. So he would hold off on receiving until we received that incentive monies back.
So that would be your $27,197 plus $38,144 for a total of $65,341.
That's correct.
And then you would get your rebate after 3 weeks from Springfield at $88.02.
They estimate, that's correct, they estimate 3-week time frame.
For a net of $57,539.
$55,539, I believe.
I'm sorry,
Is that?
55.
And your hand dryers are $6,011.
The proposal we have there, that's correct, $6,711. The installation is $5,211. So I don't know, I guess.
I think their numbers are wrong here. Yeah.
Where's that?
7,197 plus 38,140.
Yeah, we're subtracting from the 65,341.
65,341 minus 88,02. Yeah. 65,341.
56,539.
56,539.
56,539, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I get.
Thank you, Doug. 56,539.
Sorry, I hate to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
No,
He corrected me for 14 a little bit.
no, don't feel bad.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes we have to spend money to save money. I think this is a classic example. Technology and/or maybe a bad set of specs probably has forced us down this road. I think our list just got longer. However, it would be my recommendation or my motion to accept the lighting and hand dryer installation cost for the, maybe I'll do it like this. Lighting cost for a $65,341 and the hand dryer cost for $67,11.
I'd second that motion. Item number 3, you're not including, right, generator?
No.
No, we are not prepared with the accurate numbers at this time. Don't have.
When you bring it back, you'd include the cost of the generator.
I can do that based on what the transfer switch type is and the
that.
generator recommendation that would go with
I
that.
understand that. I think it's foolish not to put it in.
There's options. I don't think they're great options, but there's options for generator rental,
Yeah.
for that type of thing based on need.
If they're available.
If they're right.
Type of a crisis, someone might beat you to the rental.
Yeah. The building should have one to maintain the pool pumps, to maintain basic HVAC function.
Yeah.
And you don't have to run everything,
No.
but you can run the majority of the building with it.
Protect the pool for sure.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, we got a motion and a second. You got the numbers? Okay. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
And Mayor Manella.
Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 15 is a approving agreement between the City of Marion and White and Borgoni Architects for the Hub Recreation Center envelope repairs.
And the council had looked at a contract to do with White and Borboni, and Gail White has submitted this. Steve Green has reviewed it. And it would be at an hourly billable rate instead of a percentage, which sometimes we've done on projects. We have already incurred, they've done the design of the project already, so this would be just on the observation, follow-up, and any changes that would have to be done with the project as it goes forward.
So it's an hourly rate?
Yes. If you recall, we had done percentage before in an architectural contract, and the council had had said the next time we should always look at hourly, because then we would know what we were paying for. So.
Well, personally, I don't agree with an hourly rate because there's no cap on it. I prefer a cap, a fixed amount, we're gonna pay so many dollars. Nothing against the firm here, they're great people, but his proposal, I recall it was an estimate of what, 50,000 or so, if you recall, but that was subject to a change if it took more than 6 months to do. His bill would go all up with it. So to me, that's an open-ended proposal. We don't have any idea what we might stop with. I prefer a fixed fee based on the cost of the project, so we know what we're dealing with. That's just my opinion. We've got into some open-ended deals on this sub already, and like the mayor said, we got to stop the bleeding somewhere. And we're not pointing any fingers anywhere at the moment, but this expanded from an $8 million proposal when we first started to, well, we're over 17 million, and with this new proposal, we're gonna be at $20 million in this building. And a lot of it, well, we won't get into why and wherefore, but I've suggested, and I think we've talked about it, that the principal players in this building, this hub, have not been consulted and come in trying to fix the project. And I have suggested that we have a meeting of the principal players to see what we can do to help recover some of our costs. Right now we have expended, or will have expended $1,700,000, and we have a possibility of going another $600,000 on the ductwork. So we can easily have over $2 million invested in just repair work on this building. And that's not our fault or your fault. I'm not pointing fingers. But I think whoever might be responsible for some of this, we need to get them together. I would suggest that whoever is capable of doing that we reach out to them and set a time for a
I
conference.
think we had our city attorney and several of our commissioners have worked on that.
I haven't heard.
But I don't
about
know if they want to make any comment at this
it. I
point.
haven't heard anything about it.
They have met with the architect. The architect has sent me some particulars that they believe would be issues that relate to design. The
No, but no.
engineer, Mr. Boyd, and I have not met to discuss what he believes would be material
Okay.
modifications from the contract from
Yeah.
a mechanical standpoint.
But we haven't contacted, the way I remember, Steve, with the Bay Singer Architects, or we haven't contacted SI Piping that did the installation on this piece of equipment.
Not
Or-
until we know
Or Ross
exactly.
Construction, and then who was our sports authority mayor that we, the contractor with us started, they may have some liability on this thing.
It's that way, yes.
But I think it's time for us to get serious and try to recover some of this money. $2 million to repair a building that's 3 or 4 years old, that's pretty tough to deal with. It's pretty hard to explain. I think we need to make really an effort to get these people together and see what, maybe their insurance or their bond or whatever could contribute some of this.
I think we've all agreed in principle that at some point in time that needs to be done, but, we, Doug and I and Steve met with, Gail White and went over, his thoughts on it. I agree, I agree, and the reason I agree upon getting all the principals together at one time is because it's gonna get to a he said, she said.
That's exactly right.
And I think it would be, in the best interest, if somebody's gonna accuse somebody of something, then let the accused be there at the time.
Right.
To confront their accuser.
Right.
We just have to make sure it doesn't evolve into a knockdown drag out.
Well,
We got you.
You got concealed carry. No,
That's
you
why we
carry
got you,
there.
Angelo, so, and you're right, I mean, there would be nothing well served if it got to that, but I think, Commissioner, that, we're all in agreement of that. It's just, I think we have to tread very easily in making accusations, or we may be on the reverse side of that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
and
made
that's,
no accusation.
you know,
I just
we-
think the principals need to be involved.
yeah, so, it's.
I'd like to see that done.
I agree, but getting back to this contract, this is a standard contract, is it not?
All the language is standard. You can pay an individual either a percentage rate or an hourly. Architects do it different ways. It could be as low as 4%, high as 10%. It depends on what's negotiated.
Right.
Typically, it's higher based upon the price of the project and the scope of the project.
I noticed where Ben Boyd's proposal caps at 5,000. I think that's where I'm coming from. And
Well,
I don't think
that's
we need
for
to go
the
in.
library project.
I understand, but it's a proposal.
Yes.
And he caps it, and then he figures per hour, but it not to exceed.
Right.
There's no cap here. There's no telling where we could end up if we get into more problems in that building as we go through. Who knows?
Well, actually, the lion's share of the work has already been done because they have designed the project. It's been out for bid. The bid has been accepted. The council's approved the bid. So we are, they're ready to begin the project because J&L Robinson has, they're ready to go.
I have no problem
Are
with
the
this.
units in yet?
Pardon?
Are the units in?
They were coming in
No.
June. That's the
they
first project.
Won't be in before the expected delivery date of June 15th.
But that's the dehumidifier you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the
a
first
different
project.
Yeah, so different project.
$750,000.
So, but you're right, Gail, that a great deal of the work has been done, all the planning, and that is months of work. Now, there will be several weeks building envelope work to be done, and they're going to closely oversee it as we are internally in the building. As Ryan and I are going to be very present, whether it's, regardless of the time of day or night that the work is being done. But I know that White will we'll continue to oversee it. I don't know whether
Is
hourly.
is that work going to be completed before the lighting is done?
It's advantageous, it would, if the lighting were completed first, it would actually help
Really?
that work, because a lot of those lights that are in there now will have to be removed, at least temporarily, to get that work done.
Okay.
They can cover the new lighting, protect it, and they'll have less lighting to go around. There's one area, there's one area in particular, one wall that's gonna be very difficult because the lighting is there. To get a lift up to the right location, it's gonna be difficult. The lead time on the LED lights are about 2 weeks. So the lighting could be done in there. Brown Electric could start with that area and get that lighting done. Hopefully before the building envelope work would proceed. Now we do have, coming up next week, we have pre-construction meeting for that project, but,
Yeah.
so it's a close pace. They could be doing it at the same time some of that work is being done. So the lighting could be done simultaneously as well.
Well, I have nothing good things to think about White Borgioni as a firm. I'm glad to have
That's
it.
correct.
I think they'll get it corrected for us. I only have a little problem with the wording of the contract.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
have faith
Those
in
are
their
the things we're
integrity.
gonna have to-
Yeah, so
I-
your concern is with the compensation.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to have it, I'd like to know what's our limit we're gonna spend. Cause we started at 8 million, we got to 20. That's a minor point, you guys can do what you wanna do.
The council did approve at the past meeting, the bill for White and Borgoni for the design of the project. So as I said, the lion's share of the project has already been paid.
Comments?
I'm gonna go ahead and make that motion that we approve. Did we vote on the?
I don't think we voted on it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you voted yes.
Up at Brad. With all due respect to Johnny, I certainly understand where he's coming from, but to be able to move forward, I'm gonna go ahead and make the recommendation that we approve the proposal from White and Borgoni, in item 15.
I'll second.
Got a motion, and a second. We've had discussion. Clerk call the roll.
So, I mean, just one more thing. So based on what Johnny said, I mean, does it seem like under the current proposal that we could potentially end up paying more?
I don't think so.
Well, he said so in his estimate proposal, this could vary according to the length of the project. So he himself said it's not a firm figure. That's the only point I have.
But-
It's not a big deal, but that's the way I feel about it.
But there's work orders and work change orders that happen all the time, so.
I think though he was talking about the time it took to complete the project. If it takes longer, it costs.
I understand that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Get a motion, let's go.
Got a motion?
Gotta have a second first.
He's getting clairvoyant on us.
Commissioner Webb seconded the motion.
Yeah. Call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
No,
Mayor Manella.
Yay. 16, I'd like to go into executive session over. 17, are we
Okay.
ready for that, or would we table it?
Item 17, the clerk has a revised copy of item 17 that, or did you distribute those?
No, I haven't.
We found since Attorney Green is here, there were a few, we just found a few things as on page 3, section 5, it was kind of, we had used Marion Community Unit School District at least twice, and so we shortened the versions a little bit. So the correction, the main difference is we took out, it says Marion Community Unit School District as far as the intergovernmental agreement and the city of Marion. And this is to have an intergovernmental agreement to share expenses and employment on the school resource officer for Marion Community Unit 2. This was something that council seemed very positive about before. Attorney Green has put this together. It goes to the Marion School Board tomorrow night. The superintendent and the board president already have a draft copy, so they might recommend changes also. The only change that was our pre-discussion with the school district is the school district will not share in the equipment provided. They will share in the salary and benefits with the city, and actually they will pay two-thirds of the salary and benefits. The city will pay all of the equipment except a car, and the car will be provided. So we will not be buying a police car. So that was one change on equipment.
What section are you in?
The equipment.
She's starting at section 3, saying that, showing that they will pay 2/3 of it. It's 174 days.
I thought I mentioned section 5.
And then, well, and section 5 is where we had, it says, it had Marion Community Unit School District number 2, and then it says Marion Unit 2. So we just crossed out or eliminated the Marion Unit 2 that was on section B, C, D, E, and F.
I got you. Okay.
I'm sorry, no, it wasn't in section D. Section D was the one I was referring to about the school district would not be paying cost of equipment, so that was eliminated on the revised copy.
And they understand that this cost will change year to year?
Yes, depending on the FOP agreement, the union agreement.
Also, you need to update the spelling of the board president's name too. I don't know if that's.
We could, yeah, we'll do that.
You got an eye on alcohol.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Michael.
Yeah, it would be Michael Absher.
Yeah.
Changing the E and the A, which in this round, yes.
Michael Absher.
Yeah.
Yes. If there are any questions, and since Attorney Green has put this together, if there's any questions, we'll.
I thought at one time this was not exclusive to the high school.
It's my understanding that it is exclusive to the high school.
Okay.
There was an opportunity that they said they might have an opportunity where they could, the school resource officer could go to the junior high, but he would be assigned to the high school with the school principal and superintendent, you know, asking as far as duties and things. They might say, hey, it's time to go to one of the grade schools. So.
Okay, that's how Carterville does it.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't, you know, the option is we did not want to say he's assigned only one school and they'll be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
We don't want to give a schedule.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, it's you know, obviously it's not a cure-all, but it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully at some point in time we can expand it further to say that you know, that the kids at the high school are any more important than the kids in a grade school is that's not true. But I guess the thought is that, you know, something could happen, you know, it's more likely, of course, Sandy Hook threw that out the window, but they're more prevalent in high schools, and that's what the school district wanted, where it wanted to start, and we agreed to provide an officer, so you know, it's
Also, I believe, Mary, he supplemented the program by having officers make regular tours to the grade schools and junior high, et cetera. So
Yep.
He supplemented this program.
Yes.
so we'll entertain a motion to accept this agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Got a
Second.
motion? Is there a second?
Commissioner Bowe?
Yeah, I second it.
I see another mistake on the first page. and resource officer. Yeah, Ms.
Oh,
Spell.
yes, definitely.
Yep.
We'll do spell check before we send it.
Yeah, please. Yeah, yeah.
They'll be
You know they
sending
have
it
a
back
red
with a red
pen.
pen.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower,
Yay.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Goss,
Yay.
Mayor Vanella.
Yay. Okay, number 18, this is our agreement with the Republic Services to operate the transfer station in Marion. Gail, do you want to go over the highlights?
Well, as the council knows, we had 2 bidders on this, and then this is the CWI transfer station, and Republic Services has the copyrighted name or trade name of CWI Illinois, and they use that in Marion. So it is Republic Services if you see how CWI is used throughout. The key points of this proposal is monthly, we'll have a host fee, which we received today, of $2,000 submitted to the city from Republic Services or CWI. And that was one key point. The second key point is there's a user fee, also monthly, of $3,000. So the city will have a host fee and a user fee of $5,000 a month to be received. We'll have free recycling and trash services for all of our city buildings, and they value that at $16,000 a year. We'll have 250 tons of free municipal waste disposal for the city, and that a lot of times that's our codes department has trash picked up, and that gets disposed of at the transfer station, and that goes free. They'll continue to work on community projects with us, which they do. And so they feel they have submitted a contract of $93,000 of annual benefits to the city with the host fees, the tipping fee, and the user fee, and the free trash service. The basic part of their agreement, Steve has put this together in conjunction with the Republic attorneys.
Most of that was like the old agreement that we had. Changes are basically the imposition of a vehicle of lighter weight, 10 tons or less, the length of time of the contract.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, it's down here.
It's on number 9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got that highlighted.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is,
That was yours, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Other than that, it's the same contract that we had.
Yeah.
is that, do you know, Steve, if they currently have that truck in their fleet?
I have been told that they have it available, not that it's being used here.
They're using a small truck today, but they have ordered one that will have a sidearm pickup.
Right.
It's coming, but they still are now operating a small truck.
And we put in a time limit, they have to
Yeah.
have
90
that
days.
on.
90 days, yeah.
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 But we already have one, I know they're ordered and I know they're in use already, so we're good with that.
Good job. That's very good.
So as far as the past violations, because they've had several, I mean, has that been allayed at all? I mean, 'cause that was one of my concerns, and that's why I voted no before, as well as I thought that other proposal was a better proposal. But
This year, there's been 2 violations from January to now that the city is involved in. I'm not aware of any others. Since we've talked to them about the contract, there's been none. There's one pending in court, kind of depending upon them signing this contract. If this gets executed, then I will be dismissing that case.
so it's one pending case against them.
Yes, sir.
This new agreement's for 5 years or for?
Yes, sir,
Yes.
with a built-in automatic renewal if we do not notify them within 90 days of the expiration of the 5th calendar year.
Put that in your computer. Don't count
Okay,
on it.
is that a 5-year renewal or per year renewal?
No, sir. Another 5-year renewal.
Unless you deem otherwise.
Mr.
Yeah,
IT,
there
is
is
that
language.
something that can be placed into a computer this far out for for a red flag
For-
notification?
For what kind of what kind of notification you want?
Well, obviously,
Public service.
yeah,
Man, yeah, we
obviously
can-
within 90 days of the expiration of this contract, if we don't give them, and it's no different than our labor agreements, they have to give us an intent to modify, and if we don't give them a notice to modify or restructure a contract, it's good for another 5 years.
I think that our probably the easiest solution, low cost, is just a calendar invite. Just put it on your calendar. You can mark your calendar all the way up that far ahead. So we can work with our city clerks and put like a little calendar reminder on there that'll give you a flag ahead of time. So it's done.
You have to put that on those space computers, because they're gonna last 5 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you got to get the upgrade for that.
During the life of the agreement, you also have a provision in there that allows you to modify the existing contract, but that would require both sides agreeing to it.
All right, gentlemen. What's your pleasure?
I'd make a motion to approve the amended CWI agreement to operate the Marion Transfer Station.
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion on the floor? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower,
No.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Goss,
Yay.
and Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Okay, number 19, ordinance 3448.
Upon consultation with the mayor, Attorney Green put this together, so I'll let him speak to the changes.
Basically, there's only two changes. One would be the number of licenses. Currently, we have 15. This would increase it to 25. Would also change the hours of operation for an individual that is also providing video gaming machines, so that on Sundays they would be open at 12 o'clock as well, at the same time that the restaurants are opening. Those who are providing video gaming services, though, could only provide individual consumption by the glass. It would not be packaged liquor sales. Those are the only changes.
Yes. Okay. Any discussion? Yes.
I would suggest that this be nullified completely. If it's me, I'd even take away the licenses that are already there myself. Just from the standpoint of, of the damage that it does, that we have to end up paying for. But at any rate, we've got enough problems without having gaming and gambling going on, it's just one of those things that just shouldn't be done. That's, just because of, we're supposed to be a Christian country. And, anybody that I think is a Christian would probably agree with me on this, that, Springfield made the rule there that you've got to have a license for put in you've got to have an alcoholic beverages license before you can put in gaming. Now, why? Why? To me, that is a dumb law. Of course, it's not unusual in Illinois to have that kind of thing. But
I don't think that means somebody has to actually, Steve, help me if I'm wrong, they have to have the liquor license, but that doesn't mean they have to drink, does it?
That is correct.
So, the state of Illinois, I agree. I agree, and probably these two ladies back here would agree, they're buying a liquor license for what?
Say whether you're going to tip up a whole bottle, during the time, or whether you.
Well, no, they can't do that. It's beer or wine by the glass. But there's nothing saying that if somebody goes in to your establishment, they don't have to buy a drink. They can just merely go to the slot machines and play. The state of Illinois has required them to purchase that liquor license. And actually, they have to have the license in advance before they were allowed to get the video gaming. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so.
The majority of our people actually don't
I mean,
That's why I say, you're just following the law.
yeah, we're just following the law. Nobody has to drink.
But the one thing that you can do, I mean, you don't have to do it. Just because Illinois made that little tag on there, you know, don't mean that it has to be done. And as far as the drinking part of it, you know, person goes in there, and what's the difference between them tipping up a bottle, you know, and taking it out of there, or taking 15 drinks, you know, and then walking out the door and driving it home? Maybe.
Well, I mean, only thing I can tell you from the people that I have talked to that have these facilities, very few people drink. Randy Myers that has Mach 1, he told Gail and I that they would do good to sell 5 to 6 drinks a day. So nobody is over consuming alcohol. I understand your concern, but on that issue, and I agree, you know, but these individuals aren't going there. I would say that, would it be fair to say that most of these people are older people?
There's the people who don't want to be in a bar environment. They want to be somewhere where it's not loud and noisy. And like, for instance, we did our sales for last week today. We did $52 alcohol sales last week.
Last week.
Last week.
$52. I mean, that's like, like.
That wasn't one person, was it?
No, that's total for the whole week.
If you agree with me, and if they agree with me, and they didn't say whether they do or not, you know, the only option that you've got there is to say, no, don't do it.
Well, I'd say this, you refer
Thank
to
you.
Christians, I consider myself a Christian. But sometimes in our position, we have to separate church and state, and do, sometimes the law can kind of prevail. So I agree in theory what you're saying, but in our responsibility, sometimes you gotta separate that. But I appreciate your comment.
And this, in as much as anything, is more for fair competition. There were others that were allowed to do it. These ladies have been here before. My thoughts on that is that I thought when we amended the ordinance the last time that it allowed for them to be open. The Mayor Butler disagreed with that, and so, you know, here they're open 6 days a week, and they're not allowed to do something somebody else is allowed to do for 7 days a week. So I mean, to us, it's not a matter. This right here is not a matter of, you know, whether we agree with it or not. I'll tell you this, sir. I've never stepped into a gaming parlor in my life. I don't even know where the casino is in Metropolis. I've never been there, so it's not for me. But as Commissioner Goss says, sometimes in our position up here, we have to separate church and state and regulate what we're allowed to do.
Well, if it came up to regulate between church and state, there's no law that regulates that. Okay? The Constitution does not make a separation in that. As a matter of
First
fact,
Amendment doesn't.
based on our religion, our Christian religion is based upon that. In other words, our Constitution is based upon our Christian religion.
Well, that's true.
Well, yeah.
But what's that mean?
So anyway, I'm just saying, don't just change it because of Sunday, but change it completely and don't do it. Or at least don't do it any farther than what it's gone. That's my argument on
Okay, gentlemen, here again, what's your pleasure? We had John Rednar come in here from Hucks and.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Yeah, too. You know, he's just asking that he's allowed to be
This
on the
ordinance,
same level playing field as everybody else.
this ordinance is more about making a level playing field.
Right.
Absolutely.
Than it is anything else.
Not expanding anything, yeah.
And that's what we have to focus on. I, like you, sir, don't agree with the law, don't agree with the way it's structured. but it is what it is. And I think our intent here is to make a level playing field for everybody. We should make, we can't let one and not let the other, I guess is what I'm saying. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. But in order to make it fair for those people that get to versus those people that don't, I think that's what we have to correct.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Manella.
Yay.
That's, for the next special, next meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, we're continuing, yeah. Yeah, number 20 is actually for tomorrow. We'll actually continue this meeting. 21 needs to be executive session. Reg, did you remember what you even come here for?
I offered you to go.
Yeah.
He's coming from Quincy too.
And there's no, well, there is no easy way to get to Quincy.
I bet he stays at one of our motels this weekend.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you very much for allowing me to be with you again tonight. I wanted to discuss with you a unique opportunity that provides an opportunity for a significant reduction in electric aggregation costs in Marion. The sheet that I've handed to you will demonstrate that, and I'll get to that in a second. These actual rates on the right-hand portion of the sheet are rates that we have obtained for 4 communities here, and the reason for these 4 is that they demonstrate our thought from all utilities. There are 3 major utilities that have provided these rates that you see, and you'll notice that they are different lengths of contracts. There are some that 12 months, some are 24 months, some are 36 months. Some begin in the year 2019, some begin in the year 2020. And all 4 of these were taken to market individually. I know you're part of a group. We've said from the beginning that bigger is not always better, and it's not always advantageous to go as a group. These 4 were taken individually. We took another 16 as a group and got a good rate as well. So what I'm pointing out is in Quincy, for a contract that will start on March 2019 when their current contract ends, we got a price of 5.091 cents per kilowatt hour. If you look just to the left of that, under traditional price, the red top box there, Marion currently is paying 6.193 cents per kilowatt hour, and in June of 2019, that will drop to 6.187 cents per kilowatt hour, which basically is negligible. We got for roughly the same period 5.091 cents. Or roughly 16% difference, lower rates for Quincy. We noticed with the city of St. Joseph, when we took St. Joseph to market, an anomaly in the market that won't be repeated. It's an anomaly, and I can go into it. It's complicated, but we noticed it probably 7 or 8 months ago, and we tested it. We got indicative prices for a number of communities, and I can tell you now that it has proven true. And of the 583 communities in Illinois that have electric aggregation programs, the 20 communities that I just mentioned to you are among the lowest. They are the lowest among the 24 lowest communities in the state. So you got 583. You go through all of the list, and at the very bottom, with the rates we've gotten based on this anomaly that we saw several months ago, the lowest rates in the state. And I can tell you we've gotten some indicative prices today, and indicative simply means that these are prices on the market given what we understand of Marion. They will change tomorrow because basically electric prices change hour to hour. And the prices we got today on a 12-month contract, and this would be beginning, for example, with Marion, your contract that's been extended ends December 2020. And so I asked that we get indicative prices from that point, so December 2020, a 12-month contract from that point would be 5.017 cents, 24-month 5.179 cents, 36-month 5.278 cents. Again, that's about 15% less than Marion will be paying until 2020, and at that point it would drop that level. The window means a savings to the typical customer, and I'm using Ameren's typical customer. We know there is no average or typical customer, but based on what Ameren tells us, given total volume of kilowatt hours by residential and small business users, it's about 10,000 kilowatt hours a year. At that rate and the difference, it would be a savings of about $117 per year, just the difference between what you will be paying until December 2020 and indicative prices that we got today that would begin December 2020. I can tell you what we saw in the market will end very soon, so we have a window of opportunity that will go away very shortly, and if we're wrong, it means that there are 563 towns that are going to have prices that are going to be evidently bad before the lowest 20 there. So what I'm proposing is that at your next council meeting, if you would allow me, I would like to bring back executable prices to you. There's only one thing I would need to have done in order to do that. We don't charge you anything for that. It's a free service. Our fees are paid by any supplier. We bid all of our contracts. We don't go to a single supplier. So we would have at least 3 bids. And in fact, the communities I've shown here are served by each of the utilities. Quincy is served by Homefield Energy. Carthage is served by Commonwealth Edison, or Constellation as we know it. And St. Joseph is served by Mid-American out of Dubuque, Iowa. That's Warren Buffett's firm. I met the gentleman back here who was from Dubuque. In any case, what we do is we serve as a consultant and broker. It's our expertise. I worked for CIPS for 22 years, retired as the superintendent of Quincy. After 22 years, I was the Heron District Superintendent for 7 years, and which made me a neighbor of all of you at one point. So that's my proposal will be to come back to you at your next session in 2 weeks, bring back to you indicative prices or executable prices. If they don't look good, you simply say no. You always have the right to reject anything we bring to you. What happens if a low price like 5 cents a kilowatt hour, actually we see Ameren dropping below it? It's like the aggregation program that exists today. People have the right to opt out. This is the same electric aggregation program we become accustomed to over the years. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to answer questions. If you would be so good, I'd love to be able to bring a price back to you for action in 2 weeks.
This new agreement wouldn't start till 2020 then?
That's correct. Your contract, you have to live by your contract, and you have extended a current contract to December 2020.
Did I hear you say Ameren is lower than what we have now?
No. Well, no. Right now you have, your price is 6.193 cents per kilowatt hour. That's about what Ameren is right now. Okay. That's during the summer months. You know, what we tell our customers, our clients, always look at your own bill, because around 13 to 14,000 kilowatt hours, if you use electric heat, you're probably going to be better off going to Ameren. And that's just the nature of the way the rates are structured. There is a 2-tier heat rate and a 3-tier rate if you count the difference, the summer and winter differentials. So, and for our customers, we point out how to do that.
What do you think the rise of oil prices will do to these rates?
Could have a minor impact. What I would say, if you look over time, natural gas prices have been the Templar or the template for electricity. Yep. Over time, if you look at a graph, natural gas and electricity look like this. 3 years ago, they reversed because natural gas resources or reserve more than doubled. And we don't know as an industry just how much gas is there. I think gas price is going to stay stable for a couple of years, 3 years. But the other price that we've seen is going up.
But if you come back with an executable price, we can lock that in for the
Yes, that's correct.
So it wouldn't matter what the...
That's correct. And oil prices generally aren't looked at in terms of utilities, because utilities use very little oil. Out east, they use oil for peaking. They use some oil for baseline generation. But here it's coal and becoming more prevalently natural gas.
Well, I thought they were, because everything else, the rise of everything else gets based off of a barrel of oil, so I just thought electricity was too.
Yeah. Natural gas is really what the template is for
Our contract ended
electricity.
in 2019.
No, 2020.
2020?
Yes, the
December
renewables
2020.
play a factor too, though.
Yes, in fact, the state of Illinois requires renewables to be 25% of the portfolio by 2025. So,
Yeah, I think there's actually, is there not a bill in the House right now requiring all municipalities to go to aggregation?
no, that's the choice of people within a community. You know, it took a referendum for the people of Marion to approve it.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could have said no.
I just, well, we get bills for a lot of obvious, I thought I read one of the many bills that you can read, some are out of this world, but I thought I read where somebody had introduced a bill requiring municipalities to go to aggregation, but,
Yeah.
I may be wrong.
Could be, Mr. Mayor. I haven't
Yeah.
seen that one
I
yet.
haven't.
You may have said in your presentation, but how much would all of this save the city of Marion? I mean, like under current prices?
Yeah, if you're looking at a 12-month, the savings would amount to about $117 per year, so about $10 a month. If you look at 36 months, which went from 5.017 to 5.276, the savings is right at $100 per year.
And this is a residential customer?
Yes, sir. Using the average of 10,000 kilowatt hours. And as I say, Mr. Mayor, just so we're not confusing people, that's the average for Ameren's residential use. We all used, you know, when I had 2 children move out, that was the biggest raise I ever got, because they're no longer requiring electricity, natural gas, and so on and so forth.
Or water.
Or water, yeah.
Actually, I have no problem, does anybody else? No? Proceed forward.
Good, and so I'll check with Alice. The one thing I would need is to be able to get, and it's confidential, summary data for Marion to get actual pricing from utilities. That remains confidential. We're covered by the same confidentiality provisions the utilities are, so.
Actually, the one thing is if you're having him come back, you know, we are part of a large consortium. Select Energy has been our consultant for, 6 or 7 years? And they're the current provider, so I would suggest the council might want to consider inviting Select Energy to come also, because if we're going to look at that, and although it's very premature, anybody can take a rate off a sheet at any time. We were shown that many times when we did aggregation. And it's one of those things where if the council's looking, you're obligating a future council to a rate. So that's one of the things to think about. Select Energy said they felt they had a very good rate and they would be very happy to come down and present again.
We have an opt-out.
May I respond to that, Mr. Mayor?
We're not tied up. If we amend it, we can opt any time, can't we?
Sure.
We're not locked in for
Our consortium, we're locked into, we have a contract.
Yeah, your contract requires that you stay with the consortium until the end of the contract.
You said with yours.
I'm sorry, Mr. Voss.
If we go with you,
If you went with us,
He's talking about you're talking about the individual user.
I know
Who
the
opt out
individuals.
of the agreement and go
yes,
with Ameren.
absolutely, regardless of whether it's consortium or,
can.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
locked in for the year, 2 years, or 3, whatever we do.
that's correct. If I may respond to Ms. West's comments, if you look at the numbers on the right side and compare those with the numbers you actually have, 6.193 cents is about a penny, about 1/10 penny higher than 5.091, which is the largest rate among the 4 we have. So all I'm saying is, if you do a comparison rate for rate, I think we compete very easily and well with your consortium's provider. We have nothing against that consortium, nothing against the provider. We're just simply providing to you an opportunity where you can save Marion citizens money when your contract ends in December of 2020. The question I would ask, why hasn't your provider come to you with that information?
I was going to ask that.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We are the only, as far as I know, we're the only broker who saw in the market, and that's our expertise. That's what my communities expect of me, the expertise to perceive those changes in the market. That change occurred several months ago. We saw it. We tested it. These were 4 communities we tested it on. Then we took 16 to market. And each time, because of what we saw in the market, we got a much better rate than your consortium. We have a small consortium of 16 communities, and we have 4 independents that we took. We use different utilities. We have different timetables. Our theory proved true. That window is still available to us.
Well, I got a son that works for Ameren. He doesn't care. They don't care.
No.
Who the
Ameren is
supplier
not
is.
affected by electric aggregation.
No.
In fact, Ameren sold all of its generation December of 2013 to
Yes.
Dynegy, which is just sold to Vistra in Houston, Texas. And Ameren has no skin in that game anymore. They do distribution only. I used to manage distribution of electricity and natural gas in Heron and 10 small communities in the area, Carterville, Craneville, and others, Freeman Spur. Anyway, and that's what we did. We took care of the wires, the poles, transformers, service drops, metering, so on and so forth locally. That's what Ameren does.
Distribution's on your bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, what this refers to are the other two parts of a bill. You got distribution, supply, and transmission. We take care of all costs related to supply and transmission. So the only thing below that are taxes, which none of us really cares for. But distribution is Ameren's piece, and everything else below it, with the exception of taxes, are what our company takes care of for you.
So you say we have a certain window. I mean, would 2 weeks be too long? I mean, that's when our next.
I think no, it won't be too long.
So if I understand the process right,
Yes.
Reg, and first of all, thanks for coming down from Quincy.
Sure.
It's good to see you come down and see what God's country looks like. I appreciate that.
I lived here for 7 years.
Anyway.
In the hub of the universe, you know.
That's right. If we go through this process, and you were clear when you said the window of opportunity is limited, what you're telling me is, if I'm understanding you right, we can guarantee a price today that begins in 2020 and beyond.
That's correct.
But we have to buy it within that time frame.
Yes.
You're banking on the fact that the prices will probably go up if we decide to do this or wait to do this until 2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, without any question.
Okay.
The one piece that we're looking at is already starting to rise. There are 3 markets that this piece looks at, and it's proprietary information. This is one of the things we use in our expertise. But I can tell you the other 2 markets have already started rising from about $1, well, from 1 point to, over the next 3 years, substantially higher. So that's what we're banking on. We're going to see, so we have 3 parts in that market. The first part is at the floor. It ain't going to go any lower. That's the first point. In the secondary market, for the other 2 pieces, we've seen that same price starting to grow, and we will see these grow very shortly. So that's why I say the window of opportunity is short. And, I want you to feel comfortable. I know we've seen one another several times. I've appealed for your business. I'd love to have it. And if I don't get it, God love you, and so on and so forth. That's okay with me. What I'm saying is the theory that we had has been tested 20 times in the market, and these market numbers will be fixed. The lowest in the state of Illinois will be fixed from the time those contracts begin at the lowest price in the state of Illinois. The other prices above it are going to go up because no other brokers have seen what we've seen, and that's what we're bringing to you. And I would be happy to meet with, it's somewhat complicated. I would be happy to meet behind closed doors with 1 or 2 of you. I know you have official public meeting requirements that would prevent us from getting together more than 1 or 2 at a time. So I'm happy to talk to you about it privately.
What if you're
Yes.
wrong and the prices go down? We're stuck at the high price.
You have a contract.
Don't have a way out if you go lower?
That's correct. You have a contract, and you have to fulfill the contract. Just for example, you're going to be paying.
If you go lower, if your predictions are wrong, and we happen to go the other way, we're going to pay the higher rate because we signed.
Well, you're bound to the higher rate, but what we would do, as we promised our communities, we would let your residents know you have a better rate available from Ameren, for example. If Ameren's rate ever, and there, 563 rates are going to have to go lower than ours for us to be beaten, because we got the best 20 of the lowest rates in the state of Illinois. So what I'm saying, Mr. Goss, is the city is committed to the contract it's made with a supplier. But we would report to your citizens, we'd find a way, public relations wise, to let your citizens know you're better off going to Ameren. People have an absolute right to opt out at any time and at no cost. So they could go to Ameren or another supplier if they wished.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we need to do some business before we go into executive session to discuss personnel. You have any?
Actually, you may recall that Trifosia Lee came to the council recently, and we gave her $1,000 to her Young Hearts with Goals and Purpose for the banquet. I had the pleasure of attending this past Saturday afternoon, and she wanted to thank the council for all past years' support, and so she presented the council with a flag. I'll pass it. Very moving too. I mean, the music. If you can't be moved by that, you don't have a soul. You have to be there.
She's been doing this for years.
Like 19 years.
Yeah, and it's grown and grown, and she's reached 500 kids.
And it's a regional thing too.
Yeah, it's a regional thing. Okay. Anything else? Douglas?
I want to reiterate again the Memorial Day barbecue at Fosse Park, Memorial Day, Monday the 28th. Thank you. I always want to say 26. I don't know why. Car show beginning at 10 and it will run till 2. It will feature a Hot Rod Nights DJ. Food line will probably open up between 10:30 and 11. Please get your tickets early. We're going to have half a chicken with 2 sides and a drink, or barbecued pork steak with 2 sides and a drink, either or. Come by City Hall to pick up your ticket for $10, or Smalls, or Priority Staffing, and I believe Anthony's got a few tickets there for purchase at Goofy Golf as well. Free swimming from 1 to 4, free Goofy Golf from 11 to 1, baseball doubleheader at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock, from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, our own Clayton Gribble from Marion will be providing a free concert. So we encourage everyone to come out, enjoy the family day of fun. Appreciate it.
It's growing every year. Great opportunity for the people to get together. You may not know them, but you can get to know them, and it's just a good way for the community to be able to get together and do some good things together.
I compliment you, Mayor, on that for resurrecting, I should say, a tradition. It went by the wayside, and you put a lot of effort in it. I think it's really a great thing for the city.
Oh, thank you, but I'm not the only one. That young man over there, Terrence Hinder. Terrence has been a big vital part of this. Gail Barger from Priority Staffing has been huge in this, and Doug, who has spent a lifetime out there at the park, has got involved this year, and so it's a good thing, and I hope it continues for many, many years. Jim? I know you got bills.
DUI report?
Well, 2 things that the cemetery superintendent refuses to talk about is about chapel.
I'm sorry again, John.
I know, the Goddard Chapel has been completely renovated, new windows and whatever. We'll have a veterans recognition out there at 11 o'clock as we do every year. The guest speaker will be the Honorable Mayor Vanilla. We'll have the honor guard and all the trappings. I think the veterans should be recognized. I would hope that people take the time to step out and it takes about 30 minutes of your time just to attend and recognize the veterans. And other than that, I would like to make a motion that we approve the bills as fund comes available.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? Call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Mr. Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Doss?
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla?
Yay.
I'd like to Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Got a second? Motion and a second?
Who seconded it?
Angela?
I'm sorry.
Hearing no further discussion, call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Mr. Ross?
Yay.
And Mayor Vanilla.
Yay. Okay, got this in the mail. This guy's been a big part of the city of Marion for many, many years, and after 55 years being in business, Mr. L.C. Cavanis is retiring. And he's one of those guys that's just works under the radar, and he's been one of the ones that's made Marion what it is today. And, we got a lot of those individuals, one sitting in our room in the back, that would take no credit for that, but without him, we're in dire straits, and I won't mention, declare his name and take away from LC, but anyway, we've got this. LC's retiring, and if you happen to run into him or John or something, tell John to wish him well, and he deserves to. And I hope he has many more years of enjoyment in life.
Can I add something on that too, Anthony?
You might.
He's been my golfing buddy for several decades, and I can attest to the fact that he is probably the best scorekeeper of anybody ever played the game. Take that for what it's worth. He never could count past 3. That's all I had to say. I value him. He's a great friend.
Well, at least he's not getting double eagles. So anyway, that's saying something, because I've seen some of your scorecards. Okay, we need a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
And bids.
No, bids are wrong. Okay, we'll continue. Yes, sir.
Just so that the media knows, you need to tell them that you're continuing the meeting until tomorrow at what time?
11:30? Yes. This meeting will be continued tomorrow till 11:30. We have a bid opening at 10 o'clock for water and sewer lines for Halfway Road, and we need to give it immediate attention to act on those bids and get that construction phase of the Halfway Road extension going. Okay. Motion.
I'll make that motion.
A motion going to executive session.
Second.
Personnel. And second, clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Vanilla.
Yay.